Hello, you're all welcome to GSP interview. In this edition, we have two eminent scholars that have done very serious research work on Eggon, and they have been able to research on the origin of Eggon centralized traditional chieftaincy institution. We are going to have some discussions with them. We have with us here Dr. Eggon Culture. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And then we also have our brother Philip Umugala, a doctor awaiting. Nice meeting you, sir.
Thank you.
So may we meet you, sir? Doctor, we'll start with you.
It's all right. Thank you. My name is Eggon Culture. Born into the family of Kuje Taku and Ejigaku Ayinda Anzaku in the community of Eze. I am married. I lecture with Erudite University, Jos, College of Forensic Sciences and Security Studies, Department of Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution. My PhD is in law and diplomacy.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Yeah, our brother, may we meet you, sir?
Okay, thank you. My name is Father Philip Umugala.
Father, Reverend Father?
It's not a Reverend Father.
Okay.
He's still, the father is still culture by history.
Okay.
So maybe as you get to know more about it. Father Philip Umugala, to the family of Umugala, Queen Black Boya, the late Arin Eze of blessed memory. My mother's name is Mbiama. The popular call her Imbi Bumapa. So I'm also married with 3 children. I have Mbiama Blessing Philip Umugala, Ove Emmanuel Philip Umugala, and Esla Peter Philip Umugala. They were supposed to be 4, but the one is late. And Oklo, so he only saw 14 days on Earth. So I'm the current bursar of the University of Jos. I have been there for the past 5 years, heading to 6 years now. And since before that time, before now, we have been together on this book. And you can, just like you say, we arrive at that summary, a concise edition. So I don't know, I think it's okay.
Yeah, when you hear names like Kuje, Umugala, and all that, you should know that this authority on this matter. Yes. So you both co-authored this article, and the article is actually making wave right now in Eggon Nation, and it's actually talking about what is happening in the Eggon Nation. Can you give us an overview? Maybe we'll start with you, Umugala.
Yes, thank you. Actually, when we saw the way the traditional institution is going on, and we now say, okay, somebody have to at least start the process. We discussed with him, and then he has the time more than me, and we coordinated ourselves, and we said, okay, let's try our best to make sure that we have a consensus information on the selection, particularly on the selection of the Arin Eggon. That was our intention, and we went into looking for relevant documents, as you can see in the you will see in the reference. Yes, and at the end of the day, we came out with that article. So if you saw our view, it's just the introduction, and then we talk of the selection process, and we now document it properly by getting those the the first to the fifth Eggon, and how the first selection took place. You see it in that article. Thank you.
Yeah, Doctor.
Yes, sir.
You are an expert in this field. So please give us an overview over this article.
Yeah, just like my brother said, we read through most of the documents about Eggon history,
Yes.
and also Eggon centralized traditional institutions. We read a lot of them. Most of them are documented. But we sat down with him and one other person of blessed memory,
yes.
Dr. D.K. Alaku. And we saw that there's something that is missing. And I discussed with him and I said, don't you think something is missing in all these things that we have read? And he said, yes, he also observed it. Even the Eggon centralized traditional institution has not been properly captured. And so we went in search of relevant materials, and we came about this very article that has been published in one of the famous journals in Africa and also the world, African Journal of History and Culture. To go further, the Eggon centralized traditional institution started 1919. Unfortunately, the first Eggon paramount leader was imposed on us by the colonial administrators or administration. And the first was Yamusa Bashai. And he ruled from 1919 to 1925. That is about 6 years. Of course, he made some contributions to the Eggon nation. He introduced the modern tax system. He also brought about a reviewed way of administering justice by the establishment of courts of grade B status. And he also established a treasury house. And a treasury house is just like, let's say, let me just say, like Ministry of Finance, where money or taxes are collected and kept. Of course, in Eggon land, and it was borrowed, a borrowed system, but it worked actually for us. I think that was the treasury house was domiciled in Ube, and I think what is there now is just the relics.
Wow, you are so rich with this information. Yes. Assessing the present Eggon culture and performances, what will you say of her invigorations? Let me start with Doctor and then we get...
Okay. Well, you see, it's really unfortunate, but I would say it's not too bad, not too good. If you are not living in isolation,
Yes.
there are possibilities that your culture could have contacts with other cultures. And if you are not careful, you could be absorbed into other cultures. Or completely, or eroded completely. But thank God, our people have kept faith, but I must admit that we have to be very careful, otherwise we'll be consumed and our culture will go into extinction. But I am sure by the presence of people like you, the GSP Forum, and other Eggon scholars who are contributing immensely to document our history and tradition, I want to believe that if we can do more by educating our people, educating our youth, the culture will still remain very vibrant.
Wow. Great. We believe that it is people like you that will keep the culture because you keep doing a lot of writing.
We'll do our best,
Yes.
and I'm sure other people are doing their best too. And when we pull our hands together, we put our heads together, I want to assure you that Eggon will be proud of itself.
Yes. So back to you, Mugalasa. I go about doing my journalism work, and the vast majority of Eggon people, what they tell me is that the extinction of the Eggon culture and tradition, that it begins from the palace of the Aragon, which is our paramount ruler. And I asked them why. They say, well, it is as a result of the kind of arts and forms and crafts, whatever designs and all that, that is found in the palace, which originally supposed to be the custodians of the culture of the Eggon people. And then they now find its way having a different alien forms and arts on the walls and everywhere around it. So it's not really depicting the picture. So they are angry. They keep saying that that is the beginning of the extinction of the Eggon culture. What do you have to say concerning that, sir?
Okay, I totally agree with their observation.
Okay.
Shortly before the inauguration of the current Eggon,
Yes, sir.
I was in the palace, even before the demise of our Dr. Ben Angbazo. I saw he was really trying to put the palace into a modern structure, but still maintaining the
Originality of the Eggon culture.
which I believe he will have not given it that sculpture that I saw when I went after the inauguration of the current Eggon. Why I say I believe in what their observation is because, okay, if we just say that you live with people and if you don't take care, your culture will be eroded. We have said that already. So if you as the leader, the custodian, the head of the custodian of a traditional people institution, let's say the Eggon being the head of the Eggon nation.
Yes.
Anybody that is coming to the palace, all the dance you are seeing on the TV, and somebody said, hey, these people are rich in culture, they are rich in culture. And he said he want to come and see the culture. Of course, he may not be, you will not be aware of why he is coming to greet the chief.
That's right.
Let's say Areng. He entered the palace. The first thing he will observe is, I think he will ask questions and say he can't correlate the two. The attires, the cultures, the one that are dancing and what is here. Is it that we have a separate culture whereby you only do this one outside and then inside you are this? Secondly, let me just be in a summary so that I will not. Culture is supposed to be, if not because of our father, we will have not made the culture.
That's right.
And that's what I want to say. So if our father immediately the foreign the British, immediately the British came. If our father were so careless, he just embraced the whole. I believe they tried their best to see that they embraced it, but our people stood firm. I believe that one. That's why we are able to see it now. So now you suddenly you took an oath to represent a nation. It's not, to me, it is more of representing a particular religion than the complete nation. And a nation has several religions. We have the traditional, we have the Christian, we have the Muslim, and you'll be surprised. Maybe there is some secret one that we don't even know. So maybe some people are practicing Buddhism.
Yes.
We don't know, but let's just say several. So you being a leader,
You embrace everyone.
thank you. You are supposed to embrace everybody. That's why you see observation. When they enter the palace, everybody enter the palace. You just see a particular way of a particular religion. In the palace of our custodian, the head of our custodian institution. So, how do we now go about? It's not yet too late. It's not yet too late. Maybe for just no reason he was not aware, and they wanted to beautify the palace, and he's carried away by the new he just said, "Okay, go ahead." Now that he's facing, I believe he's supposed to know that our people are not happy with it. So, left to me, honestly, should just on to his people, listen to the voice of his people, start the correction now. If we don't want this issue of extinction that is already going on to get worse, because as small, if that one is left like that, we don't know the next step. I mean, if assuming all the local chief and the arrange say, okay, they should emulate his palace.
And then the whole the tradition is gone.
Thank you.
It's eroded completely.
So, sorry, let me diverse a little. Maybe you have not investigated what I wanted to say. Do you know how long have the Doma people, how will I say, conducted their traditional dance?
Okay.
Can you remember?
No, I don't.
So when we were a kid, we found for ourselves to train ourselves. We traveled from other station Ezen up to Doma. We have this lower Benue set up, the World Bank that established a large farm in Doma.
Yes.
You probably hear of Doma Dam.
Yes.
So that dam, they established it to cater for a large farmland that I don't think you know the extent. I know the extent because we have gone there to farm. Okay. You farm, in fact, it's like almost half of this just.
Wow.
There is rice and banana and all sorts of things. So when at that time we go there to farm, if you come across the period, the week that Alago people are celebrating their culture, you will not want to go home.
You want to join them
because you see the artifact, everything is there. But gradually, when the current is it Emi of Andoma? Okay, Andoma of Doma. When the current chief took place, assumed office, the first thing is, just like our own, he was made to understand that he is no longer supposed to be a traditional worshiper because he has a religion. So he is not supposed to enter the palace. And of course, all the artifacts are in the palace. So he was giving a new palace was built for him. And that is gradual, that's how he did not associate himself with his people in terms of tradition. And since he don't want the tradition, there was no follow-up on the yearly celebration. And I believe by now, you know the rest. The beauty of the culture is no longer there. So I just diverse so that you know the extent that we may likely reach.
That's actually a practical example of what had happened, and that will likely happen if we don't take measures. Yeah, Doctor, please, if you have an input.
Yes, I think he has elaborated a lot, but I want to add, you see, people look at tradition as if it is fetish. People look at culture as if it is fetish.
Or it's a sin.
Or it's a sin. But let me tell you, Christianity, as you call it, religion, Islam, as you call it, religion, is the culture of their people, culture and tradition of their people.
Certain persons.
So our culture is not sinful. We don't kill. We don't do human rituals. So what is wrong if we observe our traditions and culture? And just like he mentioned, and if you don't have a nationalist, somebody who has the interest of the Go nation at heart, somebody who want to bring in some alien cultures into our society, if we are not careful, we could be consumed by it. But I want to believe that those who aspire to become the Arego, they are coming there to serve the Igbo nation. They are not coming there to serve another tribe. We are there to serve the Igbo nation. And if you cannot observe the culture and tradition of the people, then there is danger ahead. I remember, just like he said, when some foreign designs were made on the walls of the palace of the Arego, it was the skills of the national president of EGDA, Abluya Mande, and his team. They were able to subdue the conflict. Otherwise,
No, I'm not sure, sir, if they have actually subdued. What they succeeded in doing is to remove the Islamic rite of inscriptions on the wall. But when we talk about the arts and forms of the mural design on the wall, sir, that is a complete alien design. It has nothing to do with the Eggon culture, because we have our own forms of arts that ordinarily should have actually been on the wall.
yes,
But anybody who sees that, he will say this an emirate.
exactly.
He will say this an emirate. But we have nothing to do with emirate. Ours is Ornge Bergo.
Yes.
And it is Arnge Eggon that oversees over the Ornge Bergo. And we have nothing to do with emirate. So the arts and forms is completely depicting the culture of a different set of people. Maybe let's say the caliphate.
Okay, just to add a little to that. You see, we have to take drastic measures. Let me give you an example. You see, the Yoruba people,
That's what I want to say.
the Tiv people,
Yes.
the Jukun people, the Igala people, you cannot become their traditional leader if you don't take oath based on their tradition. And once you take that oath,
Even our Mada people here,
And- and-
Palace of the Mada, what do you call it, Chong Mada.
Chong Mada.
You see the design of the Mada people, of the culture on the wall.
so, and once you take that oath, you cannot sell the people to the outside world. And once you attempt that, you know the ancestors will pass their judgment. So, and you see, there are some things that we don't have to take them for granted. Actually, time has come that we must be very careful who becomes the Arnego. And we must again review the Gazette of 1981 that brought about this Eggon central, about democratic system of electing the Arego. If we are not careful, there are people that are being infiltrated, and people are using religion to do certain things, and then at the end of the day, they destroy our culture. And I think we have to fight it, and we must fight it together. And we are appealing to those who are at the palace, those who are close to the palace, and also EGDA to make sure that they work to see that anything that is alien to our culture is completely removed. You see, I was listening to one, I want to add value to this. I was listening to one interview by a Hausa man. I think it was based on as a result of this Zamfara conflict. And he said, he was talking to somebody, he said, if he is in Yoruba land, even if he can speak Yoruba more than the Yoruba man, he is not a Yoruba man. And that if another tribe comes to Hausa land and he speaks Hausa more than a Hausa man, he is not a Hausa man. If you like, okay, go to those places and collect the titles there. Don't bring them to our culture. Don't bring them to our palace. I think it is time for us to say enough is enough. We must resist it.
You know, sorry, sir. You know, the Wakma clan of the Eggon, you know, we have several clans, about 22, 24 clans. The Wakma clan has consistently helped in the preservation of the Eggon culture, especially when the former minister, Laboran Maku, was, when he was a commissioner and then he became the deputy governor, he has consistently helped in promoting it. And the Wakma people took it very seriously. And if you listen to some of their mythical songs, they are more or less philosophical and historical songs, very rich. When you listen to them, you know that, yes, these people, you know, some of those mystical songs, they are even richer than some of the ancient Egyptian philosophers. But if we observe of recent, the youths of Wakma, they are busy chasing modernization and or modernity, let me use the word. So what becomes of this in the near future? Because even the people whom we feel that they are the one retaining the culture of the Eggon people, they are already giving up because their youth are chasing modernity.
Thank you. I think I need to say something about it. You see, I was happy when, at that time, when the former Minister of Information, Abraham Malcolm, I saw him severally dancing his, at least practical, that is leadership by example. He embraced his culture. He did not go to Abuja and say, okay, Minister, I can't go to that village again. No, you see, you must be proud of your culture, no matter what happened. At that time, did you see the federal government going against him? No. I think if severally he appeared on the when he was dancing. So why do you think the youth are beginning to erode it? They must have seen the example in the palace. They say, when when I ring the Shiba. So what exactly do you think we should do? Let's go by modality. I'm just giving an example. So I did not ask any of them. I'm just saying that it could be part of the reason. So because of that, we need to be more careful. In fact, we should add speech even to whatever decision we are taking. He has said that the EGDA. So I think EGDA should have an institution. There should be an institution that will be solely responsible for maintaining, keeping tight our culture. Tight. In fact, the museum that they are talking about tomorrow may only be kept in a room. That's not the type of institution I'm talking. Just like EGDA, we should have a body that will scrutinize all our cultural activities, so that the yearly Eggon Day, before you come to dance, that committee or the group, the body can now scrutinize you before you pass to go and dance. The type of dance you are going to dance must be scrutinized. The type of play you are going to play must be scrutinized. And then we observe during marriage, if alien dance are coming in, we could at least begin to tell those groups, mostly it's a group that used to that. Begin to just say, no, we don't want this type of thing again, because you see, this is that thing you wear, it looks alien.
Yeah.
That dance, you see it looks alien. Before you know, they will come back to the normal shape. And somebody needs to tell them that the former one is better than the present one. And then they will be proud. Ashana Ganimu. That is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, doctor, you see, we must find a way, because whether we like it or not, presently now, everybody is aware that there is an infiltration of the alien traditions into the Eggon culture. Whether we like it or not, that is the truth. And it comes in different ways. And these people are imperialists. And because they are imperialists, they are bent on total destructions of other languages, so that the languages will now be totally absorbed into them. Now, I want to ask you, Dr. Sir, looking at this angle, how can the Eggon people resist the infiltration of the imperialists in these areas? I want to mention the areas. For instance, in the Eggon arts, forms and craft, that is one. Two, under the overrated use of Hausa language amongst our people, because they always use Hausa language. Three, use of the Caliphate traditional title instead of the Eggon titles, because you hear Obandoma, all manner of names that if I ask Galadima, Eggon, if you ask you what is Galadima, what is Galadima, what is Sarkin Yaki, what is Obandoma, you can't interpret it in Eggon language.
So you even hear names like Sarkin Gabas, Sarkin Yama.
What is that? What is that? These are infiltrations. And so, in those areas, how will the Eggon people resist? Then the next one is the dressing of the palace guard, which is not depicting the Eggon tradition at all. All the palace guard, if you go to TIF, you mentioned TIF, right? If you go there, you see the palace guards, they dressed in the traditions of the TIF people. The same thing, even in Chonwa dance, they have been there. They dress in the in the regalia of the Mada people. But here, you will see the Eggon people in the palace, dressing like the caliphate. The use of, mandatory use of Eggon language at the palace. If I have been to the palace of this Ata of Igala, Ata of Igala do not speak any other language to anybody. And he's a schooled person, well-learned, well-schooled. Whoever is the person, even if he's a white man, he speaks the Igala language, and then an interpreter interprets to the hearing of the other person. But here, I don't know how we can mandatorily allow our leaders to begin to speak the Eggon language in the palace. Then teaching of Eggon language as a subject in Eggon Community Secondary School, because that school belongs to us. And the Constitution have allowed the teaching of the mother tongue in the schools where our local schools are being established. But we don't have the Eggon language. How do we bring in the Eggon language in our own school? At least let's start with our own. Then the use of Eggon language in the places of worship in Eggon villages instead of the Hausa. Go to some village churches now. The pastor is Hausa. All the elders are Hausa. The entire church member are Hausa. Are Eggon, sorry. They are all Eggon. But you see them jumping on Sunday, struggling with the Hausa language they don't understand. And they will be struggling to preach in that, sing in that, while they could easily use their local language to praise and worship their God. The mosque, the same thing. You see them saying the prayers in a foreign language when you have your own language. So please, can we elaborate how we can actually resist this infiltration of the caliphate?
Let me start. Okay. Yes. Let's start with the palace guard. I didn't even know that one. So if the inside is having that sculpture and the outside is having an alien's clothes, the palace guard are not wearing the gun attires. They know us to be conquerors. Everybody knows that. That's why we were not conquered by the British.
Yes.
And even those who are done for you. So we can start with that one. The elders should insist, the meeting that one should insist. Let's have some changes. Concerning the Eggon language, I remember Professor Mary Ango and one of my niece, cousin who passed on, Ademu Johnson Namo. He can write Eggon very well. He can speak it, and he has been following up with Professor Ango on that. And the issue of going to learn Eggon during holiday alone may not resolve this issue. The teaching of this in the school should be the paramount. Let's start it from the Eggon community. Let's start it there, and then make sure that as a subject, no matter how small the number of students, the palace. Even Yoruba, go and see the Ife, the Oino of Ife. At that high caliber position, they don't joke with their tribe. They don't joke with their Yoruba. In fact, for now, I think Yoruba should have the highest number of people, tribe, that even in abroad, they still speak Yoruba.
Yes.
They and Igbo. We are here, thank God, if you identify a problem, it's half solved. Let's begin to work towards it. If we have an institution that, like I mentioned already, it could work towards that to ensure that some of these things are maintained. We ensure that we put pressure on the Eggon to ensure that he carries his people along. He should. There is nothing those foreigners can do on him. Already, he has our vote as Eggon, so we are behind him. I'm happy. The youth, in terms of wearing clothes, the youth are improving gradually. They are trying to make sure that we have a uniform. That you see a lady that is the bride that is going to marry will wear. I'm so happy. I used to see it. In fact, it has reached here now. I saw my daughter, because I told her that this is her culture. I saw her. She said, okay. Then from henceforth, she's going to buy more, and then we are going to put them through so that they will know the language very well. So it starts from the family. Gradually like that, clothes alone may not be the problem, but you have to speak the dialect. No matter how, communicate, greet in the morning, also go, all those things, and then before you know, they will now improve. So we should not fear to embrace our tribe. The arts, as we say, Alan, tomorrow is going to be his own day, and we are going to showcase our art fair. It's not that they are kept in a warehouse now because they want to show it to people, they will bring it out. No. That institution should be a permanent one. And then Eggon must ensure that those artifacts, those that can be hung for public to see, should be hung immediately in the palace.
Or even within a museum within the palace.
Yes, a museum. No, but the museum would be within the palace. But
some other things.
You cannot lock it there. You cannot lock it there. Where the people are coming to greet him first, they should see the identity of the country. So that is the number one museum. The people say, where can I see this thing?
Exactly.
They say, you now go to the museum and see. So he must show example that he actually wants this thing to succeed. That is my own view.
Thank you. Doctor, before you come in, You were talking about names of the Yoruba names, the Igbo names. I'm glad to let us know that this book, A Dictionary of Eggon Names, authored by me by the grace of God, it took me 12 years to work on this book. And I'm pleased to let you know that even foreigners, a white man came all the way from UK and bought 60 copies from me and said in the history of the central Nigeria that it is only the Eggon language that have this. Now look at names. The Igbo man will give their daughter names like Ngozi. Ngozi simply means blessing. And we have blessing in Eggon, Olama. You know, you just give those names to your children and it serves as identity. So, and our people have not been patronizing this book. Different kind of names and their meanings are clearly stated in this book, which should serve as a means of promoting the culture and our identity. You know, I just say, let me bring it up because you mentioned names. You know, that is it. So, Doctor, what would you want to say concerning the resistance of this infiltration of...
he has said a lot of things.
Okay.
I just want to build on it.
That's okay.
He talked of His Excellency Labra Maku.
Right.
In fact, when I saw his dance, I used to call it the warrior dance or victory dance.
Yes.
And when you see him display, in fact, sometimes as if you should even cry and laugh because the joy is so much. You see, if we, the elders, impact this into our children, I think our culture will not go into extinction. So the reference point is first, we that are alive. We must tell our children that those things you are doing, they are not bad, but they are not our culture. You must follow these very paths. And now, there's something that you said again, maybe because the questions are many, you can still make highlight it so that I want to give some detailed explanation on it.
Okay, yeah, I just talked about teaching of Eggon language as a subject in Eggon community, use of Eggon language in our palaces, you know, in the places of worship in Eggon, like churches and mosques. I talked about dressing of the palace guards, you know, which should actually depict the Eggon traditions, you know, and then the mandatory use of the Eggon language at the palace. The Eggon should only speak the Eggon language for any official function. Whoever visits him, even if it's the governor that comes, he should speak the Eggon language, and then interpreters should interpret it because he is the custodian of the culture. Yeah, these are points.
Yeah, you see, he has mentioned something that is very striking. You see, if you go to the palace of, like the Oni of Ife, Totif, the Akuka of the Jukun people, and probably even the Mada, our brothers.
Yes, very close.
They don't speak any language. What is wrong with speaking your native language?
Nothing.
You didn't give yourself. It is God that gave you.
That's right.
So you should be proud of it. Why is it that the Arabs are not the same as the Jews? It's God that divided them like that. Why is it that the Europeans are not the same as the Americans? All of them have their languages. So there's nothing wrong with speaking our languages. And I think just like he elaborated, we should put pressure on Egda, that's the national president and his team, to make sure that everything in the palace depicts our culture. Every artifact in the palace depicts our culture. And as I said, it starts with us. Even we can encourage our people to give tribal names to their children. Unfortunately, some of us have English name, but thank God I have a backup name. So just the same like my brother. Yes. But then if you had the names of his children, all of them have tribal names. Yes. In fact, I want a situation where all the names will be tribal. See, there is nothing. Does the Bible say you should not be Anzaku Ashkena? No. Does the Quran say you should not bear your tribal name? Let me tell you one striking thing. When Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said something to his people, he said, give your children good names. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did not say, give your children Islamic names.
Sir, do you know something? Building on what you said,
Yes.
all Eggon names has meaning of how they got them.
Of course.
From research.
Yes.
There is no Eggon name that does not have meaning.
Of course.
But go to the Western culture. Somebody is bearing stone.
Gate.
Somebody is bearing gate. you know, somebody is bearing whales. Even rice. Somebody is bearing rice. Somebody is bearing wood. How do you correlate objects with the original name of the language which God has given to you that has root meaning of how you were born? You know, each name of the Eggon has a meaning. For instance, my name is Kuje. Kuje. Kuje is Ayomambronga Mboma Jiku. If a woman is pregnant in the family, and then you know our tradition, when somebody died, an elderly person died, Malamambronga Mboma Jiku, Iku so and so person. No, so it has meaning on how names Anzaku
Given.
you understand? So our people give names with meaning. So I think what you're saying is that we should really encourage our people to give good names, and I really appreciate that, sir.
You see, just like if you look at the Yoruba people,
Yes.
whether he's a pastor, whether he's an imam, the name of a scholar, if it's a Yoruba man, you know it's a Yoruba man.
In a foreign country.
Whether it's in a foreign country, the tribal name will be there.
must be there.
You see, some of us are trying to be more Islamic, more Christian than even the Aborigines, those who brought the religion. You cannot be more Catholic than the Pope.
No.
You cannot be more, you cannot be more Hausa than the Hausa people.
No.
So why do we run away from our tribal names? In fact, sometimes you see Peter John. We don't know whether it's an Egoma. And then sometimes you see Abubakar Sadiq. And it's an Egoma.
No, I didn't.
What is wrong? Did your religion prevent you from bearing tribal name? No. There is nothing like that in the Quran. I read through it. There is nothing like that.
Thank you.
Sorry, maybe before we leave this one,
Okay.
I just remember something.
Okay, sir.
Infiltration by the caliphate,
Yes.
by the foreign airline. Do you know why they are hell-bent on it going to? Because of our population. If they reduce our population by destroying our culture. You know, they try to use, because if you see the way, if democracy is to be properly tied, you know, the government will have a say. But they are foreseeing that one day, that is what is going to happen. So how do we now get these people? Let's destroy their culture. Let's make them be like us. And then at the end of the day, they will get it. Hausa man, that's how he was able to be captured, conquer. But I don't think there was too much fight. It was just tactical prayer that they brought, and at the end of the day, he embraced it. So we should resist that one. We should ensure that even if you are going to be in politics, the religion should not be part of what you will measure, you will use it.
It should not be a reference
It
point.
should not be a reference.
Most of Eggon documentary evidence that we have, they are mostly oral materials. You know, people have, said this one have said this one have said, and most time we have problem of tracking them to the originality. So I want to find out from you, sir, possibly how do we now be able, or what are the processes that we can adapt to provide the original evidence of the history of the Eggon people, probably using the archaeological study, or maybe anthropological, or maybe carbon dating, or possible the genetic research findings, to be able to prove our early oral reports.
Thank you very much. You see, there are a lot of narrations about the origin of the Eggon nation. And most of the researches are one, oral history, that is, you interview elderly people and then you document. The other researches made are linguistic research and also cultural research, which, of course, I'm not going to condemn them. They highlight the origin of the Eggon nation, but there is no scientific proof. What I mean by linguistic research is that, for example, if you go to Benue, the Jukun area, you see that we have similar names. If you go to Wamba, you go to the Boo area, you see that we have similar names. If you go to the Migili, let me give you a specific name. They have Abaka and we have Abaka.
Abaka.
Yes. Yeah. Now, if you come to Plateau State, you go to the Rukuba site.
Okay.
We have Aku, yes. They have Aku. We have Kudu, they have Kudu. They have Ayuku. They have Ayuku. We have Ayuku. So most of the researches were based on that. Linguistic research. Yes. Yeah. And also cultural. The other cultural aspect is the way we dress, the way we dance, the kind of costumes we wear during our cultural dance. We are part of the researches that show that probably we are related to this or to the other tribe. But, you know, in researches and also history, we should be mindful of the fact that there is sojourning. Sojourning, I mean, yes. You move from here and stay with some people, probably for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The people were good to you, and you probably gave back there. We say, oh, let me bear the name of this person because he was good to me. So you carry the name of the other people and you leave. So in the actual sense, there is no concrete research yet undertaken to find out the originality of the Eggon nation scientifically. And then some of the researches, I would say, of course, they are documented. I'm not accusing or I'm not disputing their researches because it's giving life to further researches. You know, they said the Eggon people originated from the land of Canaan in one of the books I read. And when you look at the land of Canaan today comprises of Lebanon, comprises of Israel, comprises of part of Jordan, yes, and also part of Syria, and then a region of Palestine. Now, where did we come from? Are we really from this place? And then they say we sojourned from that place, then we crossed to Yemen, to Egypt, and then we came to the Kenan Borno Empire, which was part of Chad and the Borno Empire. Now they said from that Borno Empire, yes. You understand, that is Ngazargamu. And Ngazargamu was in the former Borno state, but now in Yobe. And Ngazargamu specifically is located in Gaidam.
Oh, it is Gaidam?
Yes, in Sari local government area. And then probably from there we moved southward to what was called the Korarafa Kingdom. So you cannot say for sure whether we have a relationship. Our originality is from Korarafa, our originality is from Ngazargamu, our originality is from Canaan. You cannot prove that unless through scientific means, which, of course, I have made a research proposal that will conduct a scientific research, deeply scientific research, which will include DNA research, which will include carbon dating, which will include archaeology, and also anthropology. All are going to use scientific methods. Of course, the proposal is still being refined, and what we intend to do is to use geneticists from Oxford University, USA, and also want to use archaeologists from Cambridge University. That is our target, from United Kingdom, and also want to use anthropologists from Leipzig, Germany. These are the world-renowned institutions that conduct research on these areas. Yes. And by the time we combine these researches with history, of course, we are going to engage some local historians from 2 universities, and we'll be able to get the exact origin of the Eggon nation. But meanwhile, it remains speculative.
Up till now?
Yes.
Wow, that's great. So you want to add up something, or you moved?
No, actually, not really. Okay. What I wanted to say, or add to what he said, is, okay, from the period of the British Empire, when the colonial masters, from that period, we're supposed to have documentation. So
we have, but some of those documented evidence they are contradicting themselves, and they are also not in line with even the oral interview. Even though those that also gave the oral interview, some of them have divergent views in their presentations. So we are talking about having a scientific, research-based material so that we can actually ascertain and say this is where we have come from. That's right. So maybe I will build on that, sir. Some documentary evidence shows that the centralized chieftaincy institutions that we talked about earlier, of course, began in 1919. You also mentioned it here, sir, with the appointment of Bashir Musa, if you remember when you gave your overview. Okay. Now, who was later deposed? How do Eggon people handle their administration before the centralization of the chieftaincy institution? Because we have our own culture, we have our tradition, we have a way of handling our people from the beginning, before the Western people brought the centralization method in 1990. Because we have been existing long before now, and we've been managing our people very well. So, how were we doing it?